Morning, my name is Doug Albrecht. I'm MacDon Product Support Rep and I cover Iowa, Wisconsin territory. So we're going to be doing a walk around clinic on this FD1 header here. We'll also be covering, that's this book right here. We're also going to be covering information that's in the FD75 Flex Draper book as well, because the two units are very similar. And we'll actually walk over to an F2162 as well and talk about some maintenance on that unit as well. First, we're going to start out with my flex and float system. So that's on page 3 in my FD1 book. So anytime you go to the field and you want to go to the field and cut, on the left hand side and the right hand side there's wing locks that you have to unlock, and then also this one's already locked. This is my float lock for my left hand side, and there's going to be a float lock on the right hand side. So anytime you want to take this thing and put it on your header trailer, you're going to lock your float up, and you're going to lock your wings back up. If you forget to unlock your wings and you're running in the field, you're going to have a rigid header. It's not going to flex. If you forget to unlock your float in the field and you're running, you won't see any separation between the header and your float module, and the feeder is just going to keep lowering, and it's going to probably start pushing dirt because it can't see a voltage change in this white box over here. Next thing we're going to cover is my hydraulic reservoir here. So on the FD1 book, that's in page 4. In the FD2 book, that's in page 2. Sorry, FD75 book, that's on page 2. So here's the picture in your book of the hydraulic reservoir. So in your hydraulic reservoir, when your cutter bar is on the ground and your feeder is level, you should look at your sight glasses here, and this one is low on oil. As you can see here right now, there's no oil in that lower sight glass. That oil should be at least down or up in the bottom of this upper sight glass. If you're in hilly conditions, it should be halfway up in that. So make sure you're maintaining the oil level in there. So for an FD1, this takes high tran. So if you have an FD75 or a 2162, that takes engine oil. So make sure you're putting the correct type of oil in your unit. If you put engine oil in this FD1, the oils don't blend, they start to foam up. Or if you put high tran in an FD75 or a 2162, you're going to run into the same problem. So make sure that you're running the correct oil in your model of the unit that you have. If you have any questions, look in your op manual. It's got all the information in there as well, okay? Next thing we're going to cover is my oil filter. So that's on page 6 in my FD1 book and page 3 in my FD75 book. So on page 6, here's a picture in your FD1 book. There's actually going to be same picture in your FD75 book. So here's my filter for that FD1. Make sure that you're using a MacDon filter on the FD1 header, because we have 3 pumps on here that pump oil through this system. This filter is flowing about 37 gallons a minute through this filter. If you go down to the local fleet store and buy just a regular paper element filter and you put that on, that filter is going to fail, because this filter is designed with synthetic media to handle the high volume of oil and the high temperature of the oil when it's running in the field. So if you had a brand new unit, this filter gets changed at 50 hours and then every 250 hours after that. So I'm in the FD75 clinic book now. I'm on the top of page 3. So you have to move these 5 bolts and I've already taken these loose. You're going to take these bolts out, you're going to take this cover off, and your filter's in behind here. As you can see, this is leaking some. So this is using my recommendation for guys. When you put this filter on, put it on there, and when that oil warms up, I try to tighten that filter more, because it makes the rubber gasket a little more pliable, and usually you can tighten it more to stop it from leaking like what this one's doing in here. So the next thing we're going to talk about is my gearbox. So on an FD1, that's on page 6, and FD75, that's in the middle of page 3. So here's my gearbox. So this gearbox takes 85 140 gear oil. It does not take any lighter gear oil than that. So you want to make sure you're running 85 140 gear oil in here, not 80 90 gear oil, because the extreme pressure and the temperature of this, we want to be running that type of oil. So to check that oil level, on the inside edge here, here's my check plug. So I check this gearbox with the cutter bar on the ground. And there's the drain down here. So this gearbox should be changed at the first 50 hours and then every 250 hours after that. The next thing we're going to talk about is adjusting my chain tension on here. And that's on page 7 in the FD1 book and page 3 in the FD75 book. So I'll flip my page here. So depending on your model, you take this access cover off here, just like it says in your book. There's a little retainer down inside here, and you're taking inch-pounds torque wrench, and you're going to tighten this bolt down here with an inch-pounds torque wrench to 60 inch-pounds. If you torque this to 60 foot-pounds, you will bust this gear case. So do not over-torque this bolt. 60 inch-pounds, and then depending on the model of header that you have, whether it's an FD1 or an FD75, look in your book, because then you got to back that bolt off a specified amount of turns depending on the model of combine that you have. So this is something that's not in your book, so you may want to make notes on this. So I'm going to talk about my Draper speed. So this FD1 here has the optional in-cab speed control. So there's actually a harness that's going to connect, go up into a rotary knob inside your cab, or for your side Draper speed. So if you have that dial speed in there for an FD1, you're going to run that Draper speed at about number 4 or number 5 on your knob in the cab. If you don't have the in-cab speed control, you have to open this door up right where this electric coil is here with this on this stem here. This is what controls my speed. So you'll have a handle here. So basically you're going to want to set that, you turn it all the way down as slow as it goes, and you count up 4 or 5 detents on that for the speed. Now we've walked over to our 2162, is basically the same as an FD75. So for this here, it's got a knob on here. It does not have detents on it. So what you do is you turn that in until it's tight, and then make yourself a little mark so I can use this as a reference. So I'm going to open this up about 5 turns. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's where I want to run my Draper speed for a 2162 FD70. So one thing we don't have here today is an FD75. So an FD75, it's going to have a rotary handle. It's going to have, there's 10 detents on there. So you're going to set that one just like you'd set your FD1. You're going to turn it all the way down as slow as it goes, and you're going to speed it up 4 or 5 detent clicks on your handle.